Hey there, Westbrook. It is so great to have you here this weekend. And as you know, we are in this series called The God I Wish You Knew. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to kind of do it in an interesting way, maybe actually very different than what we've ever done before, is we're going to take you on a journey with us. We want you to see just how transformational God can be in your heart and your life. And so we're going to go to a potter's house. And we're going to talk about all sermon long about how God can shape and mold and transform our hearts into the image that He wants it to be. So why don't you come with me? Let's go. All right, off we go to see how God shapes us and transforms us. Pretty excited because this guy's going to spend some time with us today, kind of talking through, giving us examples, showing us exactly how pottery is made and how they take this big lump of clay and transform it into something amazingly beautiful. And what we're going to see from all this is what God does to us.
Hey, welcome to McKenzie River Pottery.
Hey, Ben. Ben Watkins?
Yeah.
Hey, man, nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Come on in. Front part here.
Yeah.
We've got artist Sandra McKenzie Schmidt working away up here.
Well, show us around your place a little bit before we
check
get
out the
started.
gallery before we get started.
Well, first of all, why McKenzie
River Pottery.
River Potter? Why McKenzie River?
Well, Sandy always wanted to have a studio on a river.
Yeah.
And the little creek out there is about the closest she's gotten to, and it didn't have a name, and so her middle name's Mackenzie, so we called it the McKenzie River and
McKenzie Creek.
River Pottery.
So this is where you display your wares.
Display our pottery and artwork, and we've got sculpture and functional pottery for both serving and cooking.
Are all these works from you guys?
Most of the work here is from us, but we do have artwork from other artists from around the country as well. All the nativities are also hers. These are quite popular.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for giving us some time. We look forward to you showing us how this all works.
Yeah, let's get started and go to the back.
All right, thanks a lot.
Now we're coming through the back part of the studio. Here's the potter's wheel where we throw all the pots. Behind me you can see a few finished pots, some overflow that didn't quite fit in the gallery.
So this is Ben Watkins, and Ben is a master artisan.
Correct.
A master potter, right?
Yep.
Okay. Master of Fine Arts from Bradley University in Peoria.
Correct.
And you've been doing this for how long?
14 years.
14 years. Okay. The actual making the pottery is called throwing it.
Correct.
Okay. So, here's a question. When you throw, can I touch this? Is this
go ahead.
So when you,
It's stuck on there. That's why I threw it.
So when you throw it, it's not going to go flying off. I mean, unless you get it on the word. You want to try to get it right in the center.
You want to get it close. That just helps you get started.
Okay. So you just throw it on there.
Now let's see how close to center you were.
Okay. Not very close. All right.
No. So the whole action here is throwing.
Okay.
So I'm going to get the pot wet, get the clay, has to be wet so that it'll slide through my hands. Mm-hmm. And the first stage is called centering.
Centering.
And centering is getting the clay completely centered on the wheel so that there's no wobbling in there.
How long did it take you to perfect that centering?
To do it effectively and efficiently like that, it takes years to do it that quick.
So there's like no chance in heaven or hell that I'm going to be able to center a pot really fast.
I'm going to not fast, but you will be able to hopefully center one today.
Okay.
Now I'm opening the clay. I'm just pushing down in the middle, my middle finger.
It's called opening the clay?
Yep. Now I'm just compressing the bottom, which is just kind of evening things out, but it's also making the clay a little stronger. So the next thing I'm going to do is start to lift the side walls of the pot up. So I'm pinching the clay between my left and right hand, and as I pinch the clay it has nowhere to go but up. And so as I feel the clay move up, my hands move with the clay all the way to the top, and I hold the lip. And you don't move the clay up all the way in one shot. You do it in
gradually.
Yeah, you do it gradually.
So there's another little spiritual lesson there. I mean, it may take a while, take a couple turns,
It takes a couple of pulls.
To make it into the.
And one thing that's important is when we started in the other room and did the wedging of the clay, which is the foundation, the beginning, it all starts there.
Okay.
If you don't wedge your clay well, you're going to struggle with every step of this because it all affects each other. It's just like the foundation of your house. If you build a weak foundation, your house might fall or lean, or, you know, it's the same way with
the foundation of our life too, then, right? I mean,
right.
So the bottom line is, there's a lot of people who think that they're like broken vessels and they're messed up and they serve. But obviously, the spiritual lesson for this is that God started in the right way.
Right.
He wedged us with His own hands. So how do you determine? I mean, I suppose you're going to say, okay, I'm going to make tall pots today, and so all of them are tall pots. Or do you ever just approach a piece of clay and you see something different in that piece of clay that it's going to be totally different than maybe what we see on the shelf here?
No, I typically, when I start to throw a pot, starting from the very beginning, from when I wedge it, I usually start to determine then what I'm going to make. Typically, it's better to know what you're going to make before you start. If you let the clay determine what you're going to make, a lot of people will say that. They tend to have more failures.
If they do what?
If they just, I'm going to let the clay decide what it wants to be.
All right.
Rather than having control and knowing what you're going to do. You need to have an idea of what's going to happen before you start.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're never going to go anywhere.
Okay.
It's
so that's why, like,
kind of like
initially
someone
you
who just prays and has no idea what they're praying for or doing. They just are wishful thinking and not actually
something
working.
kind of more directed. So
right.
Okay. So there's a kind of a cool spiritual lesson in that. It's like, if you want to be formed by God, kind of have maybe a desired outcome.
Before you go, but
Yeah.
not only that, but also at the same time a willingness to adapt what you're doing. That's the key with art, where most people, from painting to pottery, they get an idea in their head, and if it's not exactly what they had in mind, what they finished with, they feel like they failed.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you have to start with an idea in your head and strive for that, but you also then have to respond to what, the painting or the pot. Do a little different technique with it. Stick some straight lines with some squiggles in between them. Depending on the speed at which you have the wheel, will determine how those turn out. Oh, we gotta torch this guy.
Yes, we get a torch. Have you ever thrown the cap on the thing and just let it spin?
Yeah, actually.
Can we try that? Can we try it? That'd be funny. Should we try that?
There's two ways to wedge. One is pushing both hands down and just rolling back.
Or rolling back this way.
Back towards your body. And you're just pushing down and kind of inward at the same time.
Just like my mom making some noodles at Thanksgiving time.
Right? And then the spiral wedging which is what I do. I push harder with my right hand and I pull back with my left. So then the clay moves in a spiral direction, and it's just a faster, more effective way to wedge. And when you're done, you end up with a piece shaped like this
Does it feel different though?
versus a piece shaped like that. Does it feel different?
No, it doesn't really.
But
Looks different
the
though.
shape. Well, now imagine that on the wheel and spinning. Which do you think is gonna center better?
Probably yours.
Probably this one. When you're done doing your style of wedging, what I would do is you're better off patting it and moving it like that so that you don't do this and add more air bubbles.
Here we go.
Start out with the bowl. So the centering is still going to be the same.
So you're centering it.
Yep.
Get all the wobble out.
All that wobble.
Strong foundation.
This is the clay you wedged up, so how do you think you did?
Not very well.
Not very well.
So you just throw it.
Throw it on there right in the center. There you go.
That's it?
Gas pedals here.
It's like really wobbly.
You gotta control it. You're letting the clay push you rather than you pushing the clay.
There's a spiritual lesson in that too, isn't there?
Alright, now squeeze the clay with both hands and try to move it upward a little bit.
What do you think?
I think you need a little help.
That's a pretty nice way to say it. My clay is centered only by the hands of the master. I screwed it up. Now what do I do?
You're gonna open it up from the middle,
Okay.
but don't go all the way to the wheel head. You want
Okay.
to stop.
I want to
about
use my
right
middle
here.
finger. Oh, I went to the bottom.
Did you?
Is that bad?
Alright. Well, we won't be able to make a candy dish out of it, but we'll see the practice. So now, move your hands up slowly. So slower than that. There you go. Oh! But it wasn't a bad try.
Oh, I did bad. So that's like, this is like a, it's done.
Oh yeah, it's done.
I blew it.
We'll just let it sit and dry out for a little bit, and then just wedge it back
This was
up
my
and
creation.
make another one.
I'm not quitting my day job. How many times have you done this?
What's that, messed up?
Yeah.
More than I can remember. You'll never stop making mistakes. You just get better at fixing them.
You hear that, church? You never stop making mistakes.
Get better at fixing them.
You just get better at fixing them. There's the sermon right there, my friends. So, kneading, throwing, centering, forming, finishing, drying, firing,
glazing,
glazing,
firing,
firing again,
before it's finished.
enjoy.
That's right.
Finished product. Little sculpting, what do you call that? A little,
Just altering the pot. Get a little bit.
This was what I intended right here, my friends.
This is what he was trying to make.
The last step of the process is taking a pot that you have formed, you've
Right.
thrown, you formed,
Right.
right?
Yep.
It's dried,
been
it's gone through the fire once,
Correct.
and now you're glazing it, which means you're going to add color to it.
Correct.
I thought you took a paintbrush.
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
The glaze here is mixed up already in a 5-gallon bucket. And I'm just going to use a cup to pour it in here. And I'm going to kind of roll this in my hand so I get the entire inside. And then dump the rest in. And then kind of spin the pot so that way it doesn't have drips that hang in one spot. This way the glaze kind of moves around.
So this is your kiln room. You got 2 electric kilns.
Yep.
Correct?
This one
Okay.
back here we do the first firing in, and we call that a disc firing. And this kiln is controlled manually by what we call cones and bars, and that's this little guy right here.
That's some
Kilns were first
high
made,
technology, right?
Exactly.
It's
And
still
that's
used
for-
by then.
You know, people use that for many years,
Oh,
and it
just
still
broke
works.
it.
And it's they're very fragile. So.
Costs $1,000.
And we have those pots we just glazed will get fired in a kiln like this. And when they're done, you can see some finished wares, including some bowls, just like the ones we glazed with the blue on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of
The shine on the
transparent
outside,
glaze
yeah.
on the outside. And you can see if you don't wipe really good,
Mhm.
you'll get little blue spots on the outside.
So this was your intern who did this right here,
Nope,
and
that's one of
and you
mine.
fired him.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no. Poor guy.
You ever cooked a turkey in here?
No, I haven't.
Should try it, I think.
So we're back on the road from a great day in Washington, Illinois, and I learned a lot, and I hope that as you watch this video, you'll kind of get this sense that that when we yield our lives and yield our hearts and yield our bodies to the hands of the Master Potter, He can make something really special out of us. I know also that in the next couple of days I'll be kind of processing this whole thing and what I learned, and have a suspicion I'm going to come out of this with 3 or 4 kind of life lessons and applications that we can apply to our lives. So as we continue through this, just remember the God that I wish you knew really transformed us.